Hi, this is podcast 40, the Learn Piano in Your Car series. I'm Carol Brotherston. Today I'm talking about practicing. And yes, we know that sometimes it's hard to have the motivation to practice, and I've got a few ideas to help you find that motivation. You need to be accountable. You need something that you're working on that you need to finish, that somebody cares whether you finish it or not and can hold you accountable for that. If you're just practicing solo by yourself with a method book, then you're not accountable at all. So you need another dimension in there. Perfect Piano Academy has that other dimension. I am watching you work through all of your homework and giving you feedback along the way. So you're accountable there, and also to the other students in the group are keeping an eye on each other too, and we're looking out for you to achieve certain milestones. Make sure you're doing your practice right. If you keep practicing the wrong thing, then you just get a bit disillusioned with it. But how would you know you're doing it right? Again, without accountability, without the feedback, without other people's eyes on your work, how would you know if you're doing it right? And if you're not doing it right, then you technically could just get really great at doing it wrong. You need to make sure you've got progression. It's great to sit down at the piano and practice 5 times a week. Easy stuff. But you actually need to be challenging yourself, and you need a step-by-step progression. And it's not just pieces, you need the whole balanced curriculum. Exercises, scales and arpeggios, sight reading, theory, there's a whole lot going on there, and you need to have progression through all of that to build your skills. And practicing is definitely made easier when you can feel that you're achieving. But if you're doing it solo and you don't have anybody else with their eyes on what you're doing, as I said, then, really it's hard to find the motivation sometimes to do it. But I've got another reason why you should practice, and something that will help you to actually practice is do it for someone else. Do it for a reason. Do it so that you can play in your local nursing home, or go and help with the kids at school. Or maybe you just want to go to a jamming session at your local pub. But if you've got a reason, because you know that you're going to be at that pub next week and you don't want to look silly, then you want to be prepared. So, that's a challenge and a reason for you to practice. And I do know what I'm talking about, because over the years I played for the community choir where I live, with 100 plus people involved, and we did some fairly high profile events, and you can bet your bottom dollar I was practicing a lot at home at that time, so that I turned up to the choir and I didn't let the singers down. What works for me is not letting other people down, and also not looking silly at myself. Who wants to turn up and be at the front of a choir or on a stage or somewhere where, like it or not, the spotlight could be on you and you muck right up? Nobody wants that. So that makes me practice. But more than the fear of failure, it's more for me about, I want the choir to sound great, and they'll sound better if I get my part right, and they're not having to fight with me playing all the wrong notes while they try to sing. So choir was a good thing for me. But also put yourself in places. Put yourself, if nobody's coming along to you and saying, Fred, come along and play, come along and play at the nursing home, come along and play for the choir, come along and we'll give you a job at the hotel, come and join the band. If nobody's actually asking you to come and do these things, invite yourself. Nominate yourself to go to the nursing home and play some 50s tunes. You can get really easy sheet music and have a oldies sing-along or something. You could do that in the very early stages of playing piano, but I guarantee that would give you a reason to improve your skills, to sit down at that piano and to practice. And because I did some of these things, so way back in about 2010, I decided, I had gone to the Rewind Festival and decided I'd love to be in that band. There was a band that played for a lot of the performers, so like a house band. And there'd be like, I think about 3,000 people or maybe more at the Rewind Festival. And I thought, I would love to join that band, but how would you do something like that? How do you go from not performing in public at all or not much to being in a band like that and getting paid for what they do on the stage, performing in front of thousands? So obviously that doesn't happen. You're not just going to go from here to here, because for a start, you need to be invited, because you couldn't just phone them up and say, hi, I'm Carol Brotherson, you've never heard of me, but I want to join your band. That's not going to work. So you need to make yourself known a little bit and have some other experiences. And it does become a small world, and it is who you know. So I thought, well, I can't, to get from here where I am, which was playing piano in the church, and I was known within our church scene, so I would get to play piano with lots of other people, and I was leading the youth musicians at that time. But what could I do that was within my control to take a step towards that aspiration, that thing that you can dream it? If you can dream it, you can do it. So there was a few things I could do, and they all involved getting out of my comfort zone. So I contacted local hotels and said, I see you've got a piano in your dining room, can I play it? So I got to do that for 4 years at a big local hotel. I took every opportunity I could when on holiday, specifically booked into hotels that had pianos in the reception, and forced myself to sit down at those pianos and play. And I met loads of people through the process of doing that and made connections. I went to a local pub and offered to do piano karaoke. Again, stepping right out of my comfort zone. I started a band myself. Instead of waiting to get invited to join a band, I started a band. So, but all of those things, the band and the church and playing in the hotel, the things that I did forced me to practice, if you see what I mean. Because I was then practicing for a reason. And as long as you make sure when you're practicing for a reason that you're challenging yourself, you're potentially following a curriculum, you're adding to your knowledge, your experience, your technical ability, your skill set, then that gives you a reason to practice. And the more time you sit at the keyboard, the more skill you'll develop. It's like playing sport. The more time you spend playing cricket, the more time you spend on a squash court, the more time you spend in a saddle when you're riding. There's no measure of what you get back in return, the cost benefit thing from it. So yeah, today, talking about practice and giving you a really good way to motivate yourself to practice. But in the early days, you also need to remember to make sure you're doing it right. You have a feedback from somebody, a mentor, a coach, expert, teacher. As I said before, the Perfect Piano Academy is a place, it's an incubator. Step by step, it's got everything that you need to prepare you and get you ready for launching it and going out. And the outward facing part of it, the doing it for a reason, will really help you practice it and really help you dig in and stick in and focus on your lessons as well. So I hope that makes good sense and good use to you and gives you some ideas. And as ever, if you want to join the Academy, it's perfectpiano.org.uk. If you have any questions, it's info@themusicroom.org.uk. I'm Carol Brotherston. I think I am your biggest champion. So go out and be seen and give yourself a reason to practice.